Hey guys, Tepco Cycle Repair. Today working on a 2015 KTM 50SX. This is the Mini. It's a smaller version. It's the smaller wheels. What I'm going to be doing here is a clutch. So it's pretty simple getting it set up here. There's a 13mm nut behind here, and I'm going to take this brake pedal out of the way. If you were doing just a clutch adjustment, you can leave it on, but it's a spring right here. And I want to apologize. My camera mount had broke the other day, and I'm knocking out some videos, and I have the parts that I need on order for that. So I'm gonna have to do a little holding the camera videos. All right, so 13mm here. And then you're just going to pull this up and swing it out of the way. Or you can take the whole thing out. It's just a plunger here and the brake. Okay. Alright, so now we have clear access to this. It's no problem at all. Everything is here. 8mm, 4 of them. Let's pull those off. Alright, so pulling this off, you have 3 short ones. 1, 2, 3, and then 1 long one. Right, and the whole cover comes off. Alright, and then we're left with this. So if you were going to do adjustments here, alright, you have the 3 adjusting nuts right there. You would turn those in. You back them all the way out until they're all the way out, and then you turn them in equally. If they're low, like if you turn it in 1 or 2, it'll slip a lot and it'll start grabbing really early. You don't want that if your little guy's fast. You want this thing to grab kind of with the RPMs up higher. It'll save the clutch life. If you leave it down low at like 1, 2, 3, 4 clicks, it's going to slip a lot and burn the clutch out fast. You're better off starting them up at like 9 or 10, somewhere around there, so that it has to rev a little bit and the clutch grabs stronger, and it will make the clutch last longer. So let me show you what that looks like. So you want to take an 8mm T-handle, all right, and what you want to do is, if you're first getting the bike, just back these all the way out until it stops, and then I'll tell you where they're at. Make sure, and then turn them back in, make sure they're all the same. But if you turn it all the way in, this one was set at max, I think 16. So if you turn it all the way in, you're going to hear a click. So there's 1 notch, 2 notches, 3 notches. All right, I've already backed this one out a little bit. I just want to show you what it sounds like when you, right there. Okay, so we're all the way in. You're going to hear a click like that. All right, so you're maxed out right there. So back it all the way out. That'll be 16 for this one. 2, 3. So that was actually 14 out. All right, so you want to back them out and turn them in equally. When I'm done with this one here, I'm going to put a new clutch in it, and I'm going to turn it into probably 12 clicks. All right, so let me back all of these out all the way, and then we're going to take that center nut out, which is the Torx. All right, getting the center bolt out is a T45. Nice and easy. In the meantime, I got the new clutch soaking in oil. Let me show you what it comes with first. I'm going to soak it in oil here. This is the new clutch it comes with. This is a clutch pack straight from KTM. Comes with your fibers and metals, all new. The KTM part number, right there. So I'm going to throw this in a bag, get some oil on them, get them wet before we put them in. And I'm going to take this whole clutch pack. There's 2 bearings underneath here. All right, 2 bearings underneath here. So when I pull this up, you'll see the 2 bearings in there. So let's get this up out of here. All right, there's our basket. There's a washer right there. All right, so that washer goes over where the bearings are, right in the center. Now this whole setup is going to just pull up out of here. I'm going to leave the 2 bearings in there. All right, so there's the 2 bearings. Pay attention. You got oil in there. You don't want to drop anything in there, but we don't need to go in there anymore. We got the whole clutch pack here. So I'm going to bring that up to the bench because we got to take all these Allens out right here to get the clutch out. Guys, so getting these off, these Allens, these are 4mm Allens. You're going to need some heat on these things. They don't come off and you don't want to strip them. So let's just put some heat on them. Don't set the rag on fire. And they'll come off. There we go. Alright, so I've had to heat all 3 of these so far, so I'm just going to heat all the rest of them. That last one, guys, just got out. That was a little bit nerve-wracking. Let's get them all out now. We'll let it cool down a bit. Alright, let it cool down a bit. So you know those are Loctited in, so make sure you Loctite them back. I've already blown some air through the holes to get the residual Loctite out of there. So we're going to take this top plate off, and then you're left with this. And this is how the system works. These bearings slide up and down. It's kind of like a recluse, and that when they slide up, they wedge in between, create pressure, and it works. So the tighter you make the springs by turning the springs in, the more resistance it has to push everything down. So we're going to grab this and just pick this whole thing up. Keep it all in place. We don't have to worry about it, just like that. These springs are just sitting in here. Alright, so we can just grab them and take them out, but you can leave them in. We're going to go ahead and take all these plates out. Now these are going to come out. Pay attention because your outer one has fibers on one side and metal on the other. So we got metal on this side and fibers on this side. Alright, so you can take this whole pack off at once. Here's that bottom one. The bottom's the same, okay? Metal on the outside, fiber on the inside. We get our new plates in here. All right, so we got metal going down, fiber is up. There we go. Some springs are in the way. I just slid those outer ones in a little bit. All right, so we're going to do this here, and then the metal plate next. Fiber. And then so on until we get it all stacked. Let me go ahead and use my other hand. Get this thing all put back together. Remember, you have 3 on the inner part and 3 on the outer part. So when you go to put this back on, right, you got 3 on the inner and 3 on the outer. You can see the inner, the outer one's there. So we're going to go ahead and drop this back on. Just wiggle it around and get all those springs lined up again. All right. I'm going to take my other hand. I got to wiggle those springs around. You want to get them lined up so it drops all the way down. You can see how the spring's not quite lined up there. We need those all to be lined up. All right, so we got this back on here. When it's sitting like this, the springs that are not with the screws right here, so these are the adjustments for the tension. The other ones are going to be loose in there. But there's a retainer in there on the back side of this plate right here. And you have to make sure the spring is sitting in that. So the spring's sitting inside here. I'll show you here. There, you see that they're a little bit loose. You can see that just kind of moving around in there. All right. But the top part of it, if I push the top of it here, it should hit, it hits the retainer, okay? So when I'm pushing on the top, it doesn't move in. So I know it's in the right place. When we tighten this all down, those are not going to move. This whole plate's going to get pushed down, and then we're going to tighten this adjustment here. And the adjustment, when you tighten it, it pushes that round, looks like a washer right there, it pushes that down, and it causes more tension. This plate right here, when these bearings come up, it pushes on the outer plate we're about to put on and forces this plate down onto the clutch. So if it's loose here, all right, if you have those all the way out, say position 1 or 2, like we were talking about earlier, it doesn't take a lot of force to push this down. But if you have those cranked on really tight, it's pushing against the extra force of that spring. So these bearings have to come up a little higher, it has to spin a little faster, and it kind of like drops the clutch a little harder. So those fast guys, you know, your little guy's fast, he's going to need that thing up at like 11, 12 clicks, all right, in from all the way out on these. So let me get this top plate on, and we're going to blue Loctite all these screws back in. Alright guys, so make sure you put some Loctite on those. These get extremely hot, so you want something to help hold them in. If you got it together right, you should be able to turn all these. This is good here. Also, if you're having problems with any of these spinning on you, they're connected all the way through to the ones on the back side, so you can hold those and spin those if you need to. But you know, make sure everything is in there good, and you are good to go. Time for reassembly. All right, so we got the two bearings inside there. Make sure we put some oil on those. Dropped into place there. Got to get the outer basket on now. Washer first. The outer basket, when you put it together, you want to make sure you get all the, it's easier when you have all the tabs for the metals lined up, so when you're putting this back on, it makes the whole thing a little easier, but you can just kind of wiggle it and it'll drop down in there. All right. Then same thing, I'm going to put a little bit of blue Loctite on this one and zap that one in. All right, I'm going to put the cover back on. Remember, you got to set these to whatever you want to set them to. The tension screws, all right, right there. So you want to put those on. Like I said, I'm going to back them out and I'm going to put them all in to 12 for this bike. Alright guys, so the cover is back on, brake pedal's back on. That's all there is to it. It's pretty simple. You know, the biggest pain is going to be getting those screws off, because those Allen keys, you don't want to strip them. They're easy to strip. If you end up stripping those things, you're going to have trouble. You're probably going to have to get a new basket and everything on there. So just be careful with that. Use a little bit of heat or a lot of heat to get those things soft, and use good Allen keys. Don't use cheap Allen keys, because you'll strip them. Use a good Allen key and you can get it out. This bike is ready to go. He's going to go tear it up this weekend. So guys, hopefully this helps you out changing out these clutches. Keep them fresh. Keep them turned up. Let them get used to that. Don't leave it down low. You'll burn your clutches out. And it's a little bit over $100 for just a clutch pack for this, about $115 or something from Rocky Mountain ATV. So guys, keep these bikes running. They're fun to get these guys learning on it. Please hit the like button. Hit the bell for notifications, guys. Please hit the like button. Put a comment down below. Until next time, this is Tepco Cycle Repair.